Born and raised on the streets by a mentally ill mother, Shola had no father, no home, and no one to fight for her future. She spent only 2 years in school before dropping out because the one woman paying her fees disappeared. Hopeless, forgotten, yet incredibly smart. But one day, everything changed. She met Jessica, the daughter of a billionaire, studying in the best school money could buy, yet struggling to learn. And it was Shola, the barefoot girl from the gutter, who became her secret teacher. But when Jessica's powerful father discovered a homeless child teaching his daughter under a mango tree, what he did next will leave you speechless. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and get ready for one of the most powerful stories you've ever heard. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to support more inspiring stories like this one. Dirty thing! I said leave here! A raw slap of spit landed just inches from Shola's bare feet. She didn't move. She'd grown used to the insults. The market woman's voice pierced the air again. Is this a rubbish ground? You and that mad woman better shift before I pour water in you. Shola tightened her grip on her mother, Abini, who sat barefoot beside the gutter, mumbling to herself and tracing patterns in the dust with one trembling finger. Her wrapper had fallen halfway, exposing scars and filth, but Abini didn't notice. She was lost in another world, one that only she could see. People walked past. Some slowed down. Some stared. One woman paused, shook her head, and kept walking. No one helped. No one ever did. Shola was 12 years old, but the streets had aged her soul. She didn't cry anymore when people called her names. Daughter of a mad woman. Gutter girl. Cursed child. She'd heard them all. What hurt more was the pity, the empty kind that came with a shake of the head and no hand of help. Her mother used to be beautiful, or so Shola imagined. On rare, lucid days, Abini would sing old Yoruba lullabies and call Shola princess. But those moments were like shooting stars, brief and gone before you could touch them. Most days, Abini couldn't even remember where she was. She'd scream at her reflection in puddles, throw stones at shadows, and run from imagined monsters. Shola had no father, not even a name, not even a photo. Who's my daddy? She'd once asked years ago. Abini had looked at her with hollow eyes and replied, I don't know. The rain. Maybe the rain. That was the end of that conversation. They slept under a broken kiosk near mile 12. If it rained, they got wet. If it was hot, they burned. Their mattress was a flattened carton. Their blanket was silence. Shola didn't even know what it meant to dream anymore. Survival was the only language she spoke. Each morning began the same way. Abini waking up screaming, clawing at the air. Shola would grab her, hold her close, whisper, It's me, Mommy. It's me. Then she'd gently clean her up, sometimes with just a rag and water from a gutter pipe, and lead her back to the same begging spot on the street. Her mother begged. Shola watched. That was their life. Occasionally people dropped coins. Mostly they dropped insults. Mommy, don't talk today, okay? Shola whispered that morning, tucking her mother's wrapper more tightly around her. Just sit. Just be quiet. But Abini suddenly stood and shouted at a passing car, Give me my wings! I left them in your boot! The driver honked and swerved. Shola felt her cheeks burn. She turned and met the eyes of a schoolgirl across the street, neatly dressed, holding a lunchbox. The girl stared for a moment, then quickly looked away, whispering to her friend and laughing. Shola looked down at her own legs, covered in dust, her toenails chipped, her hands dry. Her stomach grumbled, but she ignored it. Hunger was a constant companion. Still, beneath it all, she dreamed. She dreamed of sitting in a classroom, raising her hand to answer questions. She dreamed of wearing a uniform, writing in notebooks, reading books that weren't soaked in rainwater or torn at the edges. She dreamed of someone, anyone, calling her by name without scorn. But who would send the daughter of a mad woman to school? Who would care about a girl whose mother chased birds because she thought they were demons? Nobody. And yet, Shola still hoped. She watched children pass with their backpacks and neat braids, and she whispered to herself, one day she would sit in a real classroom. One day she would escape this cursed corner of Lagos. One day her mother would smile again and know her name. But as she reached into her bag to count the N10 note and the 3 coins they had gotten so far, she heard a hawker shout behind her, "Thunderfire poverty!" Shola didn't look back. She just held her mother tighter and whispered, "Amen." It started with a plate of jollof rice. Shola had been crouching beside her mother near a shoddy that afternoon, her stomach tying itself into knots from hunger. Her mother was having one of her silent days, just rocking back and forth like a broken record, her eyes unfocused, lips twitching. That's when Shola noticed a woman watching her from across the road. The woman stood behind a steaming food stand. Plastic chairs, a wooden table, 2 coolers, and the unmistakable scent of cooked rice and pepper soup. She was fair-skinned, full-bodied, and wore a simple Ankara gown. There was something in her gaze, something that wasn't pity. Shola looked away, embarrassed. She hated being watched like an animal in a zoo. Minutes later, the woman crossed the road and stood in front of her. "What's your name?" she asked gently. Shola stared at her bare feet, then whispered, "Shola." "Where's your mother's?" Shola pointed at the woman beside her, who was now singing to an empty bottle. The woman's eyes softened. "She's sick, isn't she?" Shola nodded. "What did you eat today?" Shola didn't answer. Instead of asking further, the woman held out a covered takeaway plate. "Here, eat." Shola hesitated. Strangers didn't give food without expecting something in return, something she wasn't willing to give. "Don't worry," the woman smiled. "I'm not like the others." That was the first time she met Auntie Linda. The food was hot, the rice sweet, the meat soft. Shola hadn't eaten meat